Welkom bij een volgende editie van College Tour. Onze gast van vanavond is een topjournalist. Met gevaar voor eigen leven deed ze verslag van de Golfoorlog in Irak en ook vanuit de frontlinie van de Balkanoorlog.
Christiane Amanpour, CNN, Ahinici in Central Bosnia.
Waar oorlog is, daar was zij. Ze wordt gezien als een van de beste, meest invloedrijke journalisten van de wereld. En ze schuwt de scherpe vragen niet. Wereldleiders, die legt ze het vuur aan de schenen.
Madam President, you have been rated one of the worst leaders in the world, one of the worst presidents.
Maar nu ligt ze zelf onder vuur. Althans, haar station CNN wordt zwaar bekritiseerd door president Donald Trump.
I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
Samen met 400 studenten hier in Londen interview ik het boegbeeld van CNN, journalist en presentator Christiane Amanpour. Thank you so much for being here. Good to see. They all took the bus yesterday evening and came for you to the studio.
Can I just say I'm super impressed.
Yeah?
I mean, really, that's incredible. All these people coming on a bus. But was it a nice journey, at least? Oh dear, oh dear, oh
You
dear.
never travel without your phone, I think,
Well,
right?
it's not that. I'm just always, looking for breaking news and stuff. What if I have to discuss something that's happening?
Well, I was wondering if there would be breaking news today, at this moment, would you have said, well, sorry for all the guys from the Netherlands here, but I have to go?
Probably. Well, yeah. I mean, look, sorry. That's one of the dreadful things about doing anything outside of your work when you do this kind of work.
Well, if you had to choose between, let's say, the birthday of your son, a private party, or a huge event like a terrorist attack here in this city, I think I know the answer already.
Well, you know what? I'll be very honest with you. This was the case when my son was 5 years old. I can't remember exactly what it was, that I did have to delay my son's birthday because of something that I had to do professionally. But he was so young he didn't know, so I told him that his birthday was actually then.
Yeah.
And I've never actually done that since he's been old enough to understand that his birthday is on the 27th of March. Yeah.
You're well known for very tough questions. You're unafraid. Is there an interview that was really difficult to make?
Yeah, I actually think most of my interviews are difficult. And by that I say, I'm always a bit nervous because I always want to do my best. And I particularly want to do my best for the people who are watching and who actually expect me to know as much as my subject about what's going on, to have the guts to actually ask him or her the questions that you all want answered, and not to let them wriggle off the fishing rod, so to speak.
Well, I think you asked the questions that are necessary to ask. Let's have a look at a couple of them.
Madam President, you have been rated one of the worst leaders in the world, one of the worst presidents. Your popularity right now is around 10%. That's really, really low. Mr. President, every time we have this conversation, they get turned into spies and terrorists.
Is espionage part of freedom of press?
Well, I mean, of course not, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about press, independent press, in your democracy. I want to ask you, should you have tried harder? You were surrounded by the top national security people on a mission to stop terrorism. Should you have pushed harder? Colonel Gaddafi, the President of the United States, the leaders of Britain and other leaders are calling on you to step down, to leave Libya, to leave your position of power. Will you do that? That was the last ever interview with him.
Yeah, and then he died, or he was killed.
Well, he was eventually, he was captured and slaughtered.
Yeah. They always let you go after an interview like this. They never asked you, okay, give me back the tapes, or did you get in trouble after interviews like this?
No, sometimes I think they're so shocked that they just, let you go. Also, CNN is a big platform. And it's an important platform, so there's a certain amount of protection that comes with asking these questions from a CNN vantage point. It's never easy, actually, in their own countries, surrounded by their own militaries often. Right. And, they are so shocked that anybody dares to talk to their boss in anything other than an obsequious way.
Let's have questions from the audience.
Well, first, thank you for being here. I was wondering, to what extent do you respect Donald Trump? Because he doesn't seem to respect CNN and you.
Yeah, well, look, There was an election. The democratic process happened. Obviously, you've seen all the stuff surrounding it, the questions about Russia, the questions about many, many things. What I will fight back against is the notion of fake news. CNN is not fake news. And I will say that from here until kingdom come. I mean, when I hear fake news from a democratically elected leader, I immediately say, or from a non-democratically elected leader, I immediately say, oh, they just don't like our truth. They don't like the truth that we are reporting. And I have actually experienced that my whole career, whether it was in the Balkans or wherever. Slobodan Milosevic, who was busy slaughtering people in Sarajevo,
but it's expected
called
from
us
him,
fake news.
But from the President of the United States, this is how it looks like. It's very aggressive. Let's have a look.
Yeah, it is aggressive.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You
is
are attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization
Can you give
is
us a
terrible.
chance
Let's
to
go.
ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can
Quiet,
you state,
quiet.
Mr. President, can
I'm
you...
not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically...
You are fake news.
Just because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news. The public doesn't believe you people anymore. Now, maybe I had something to do with that. I don't know. As an example, your CNN, I mean, it's story after story after story is bad. I won.
Well, I would simply say there's so many, different thought threads in that comment there. I won, you're fake, it's bad. Okay, it's bad maybe because I don't like what's being reported about me. Yes, so
personal?
I'm uncomfortable.
It's personal?
I don't know whether it's personal, no, because he says it about many, many different people. You just have it because it happened to be very deliberate that day.
Is it
but
effective?
Why was it?
Does it work?
I don't think so. Because, well, maybe with his own supporters, maybe it does. And this is actually something that we have to talk about. But what's happened is that CNN's ratings are higher, subscriptions to the New York Times, to the Washington Post, to all the really legitimate, trusted, credible news organizations, subscriptions, viewers, listeners have increased because people are interested in the political dynamic that's going on, but also want to know that they are getting information from real journalists, tried, tested, proven, often under the gun and under the hail of bullets, to give them real news. When a politician says you're fake news, that's the latest moniker, right? That's just the latest term that's getting thrown around. Yes, it's very serious and it's very bad, but it generally means I don't like what you're uncovering about me. I don't like it.
But
it makes me uncomfortable.
Many people believe it. Any questions here?
Well, wait a minute. You say that.
His followers believe it.
You say that. His followers believe it. But you know what? Maybe
That's
some
half of
do,
the
maybe they
country,
don't.
right?
Well, potentially. But here's the real issue. What differentiates a dictatorship and a democracy is truth, right? Is the trust in truth. In a democracy, we believe that our elected leaders are going to basically tell us the truth.
Is he morphing into a dictator?
I don't know. But all I'm telling you is that the difference between the Soviet leaders or the leaders of North Korea or African strongmen or wherever you look, the difference is lies and truth.
Any questions about that?
Hi there. Thank you for being here. My question pertains to what you said before. Well, you're holding world leaders accountable, but what about holding journalists accountable? Because indeed, the line between independent news agencies and politically incentivized outputs of news, setting agendas, has become quite blurry. And what do you foresee in the future for journalists to be able to be considered credible? Should journalists do a pledge of oath or disallowed to be openly politically opinionated?
Look, I think that's a very good question, but it's a question that's been applicable since Kingdom Come. There has always been a division between fact-based news and political opinion, columns. That's been the way the press, the legitimate press, has operated for a long, long time. Most people know that if you pick up the New York Times or if you turn on the CNN, or if you listen to BBC Radio or NPR or Washington Post or whatever it might be, the Times of London, your best newspapers and television stations, people will hopefully know that these are trained professional experts who are there to report the facts and the news, not to give their opinions. That happens in the opinion page and in the columns. But in the United States, for sure, since 9/11, that's one of the big, big turning points in this whole idea of political journalism, we had, at the same time, a massive attack on the US, plus the rise of an openly political platform called Fox News. Openly political platform. And this goes back to what people believe. So Fox News did its thing. Openly political and unashamedly political. That's what they do. They said that they were serving an underserved segment of the population. The problem was, a lot of it was misinformation and lies. And truth is not somebody's truth. Truth is not morphable. There are facts in this world, empirical facts. And either you're going to believe them and then make your opinions elsewhere on whatever, but you cannot dispute that there are facts.
There was a question here.
My parents are actually from Serbia, my whole family. And I was wondering, why did you pick sides during the war in former Yugoslavia? I heard some things about my family that victims in Serbia weren't really, how do you say that, pictured in the media, like
Reported
victims.
on, yeah.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, most people in the Balkans love me except the Serbs. They believed that I was somehow responsible for the NATO bombing or for the turning point. So I understand where you're coming from, and I think your parents would be of that generation. It's not true that the Serbian side wasn't portrayed. It just is not true. We had reporters throughout, and I think you're mostly talking now about the Kosovo war, about the NATO bombing, and all of exactly.
Did you report on that as well?
Yes.
What did your parents say when you said that you were going to visit this show and you were going to ask a question?
My parents were really happy. My father also admired your work. He didn't choose sides. He just wanted to also know what I asked.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's a very important thing that you asked me, because it wasn't about the Serbian people. It was about the government of Slobodan Milosevic and his military that backed a certain side in this war. And it was the Serbian people, after the Kosovo war, who recognized that their leader had led them to hell, which is why they had a sort of a revolution against him, and why you got a democratic Serbia after the Kosovo war.
Christiane,
and that's what I think is really
explaining
important.
all this, but is it an illusion to think that people will understand it, because many people will still think from this conflict, she did not tell the truth about this?
No, they won't think that. They won't think that, because they know that it was the truth. And if they do say that, it's because it's a personal story. And everything that I have reported has been proven in international courts of law.
But does that even matter anymore? Because courts of law...
Listen, if it doesn't matter, then nothing matters. We might as well all go shoot ourselves in the heads and stop living. We have to figure out where the truth is. And, I've sort of, I hope, answered your question. But when it comes to the Holocaust, people deny that the Holocaust existed.
Still happening.
Right. What? Are we going to say, oh, well, that's somebody's truth? No. We are not going to say that. We are not going to bend over and allow people to make things up. When people say carbon dioxide is not responsible for some of this terrible climate change.
Well, the President of the United States has that point of view.
And there is a massive 99.9% of scientific evidence is here. And, the deniers are a minority, but who have been treated as equal to the others.
And here we come to the motto of your work.
Yes,
you say
that's exactly
it's about truth and not about neutrality.
Yes.
Tell them.
Objectivity is about facts and about truth. It is not about neutrality, and it's not about creating a false neutrality. And this is pernicious. And my fear is that because of social media and I guess the technology that proliferates this stuff more than it ever had a chance to be proliferated in the past.
What is the best advice for students here, not necessarily journalists, but everybody who's studying and people watching this show at home?
Well, I would say that you are the future. Young people are the future. I think that without a healthy journalistic base, none of our societies will be healthy. And I think that at this moment, it's not just about journalism, it's about the very concept of truth and of facts. And so the challenge for all of us right now is to understand where the expertise lies, where the value lies, where the facts lie, where the truth lies, so that you can make a decision as to whether you will believe those truths or whether you want or other people want to keep harping on their conspiracy theories and their fake news and all the rest of it.
Christiane Amanpour.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.